And we're back. This is the Colombia Calling podcast. I am Richard Mccoll, your host here in Bogota, Colombia, 2,600 meters closer to the stars. My very special guest this week is Lorena Estupiñán-Pedraza. She is a professor at University in Cali, but she is not from Cali. In fact, she's far a place from Cali. She's she's from Boyaca, from Tunja, which is the departmental capital. We've been talking a lot about Boyaca this year so far. A couple of episodes ago, we had the what were we calling it? The Indio Boyacense, Indio Andino on the show from Tamil part of India and who loves Boyaca and has traveled to 3/4 of all the pueblos in Boyaca now. But this time we're going to get deeper into it because Lorena herself she teaches international relations and she's a political scientist. And she's doing a PhD on rural and non-rural principles in Boyaca and street-level bureaucrats. And that's a mouthful of things to say, but it's about talking about identity, what it means to be Boyacense, what it means to be Tunjana, and in Colombia as a whole. Because someone, for example, in Cali, who's from Tunja, possibly couldn't be more out of place than anyone else. So I won't talk anymore. Lorena, welcome on the Colombia Calling podcast.
Thank you, Richard. Have a lovely day, and thank you for having me.
It's great. If you guys are watching us on YouTube, if not, if you're just audio, you can see that Lorena has a T-shirt on that says "Su Merced," and "Su Merced" obviously is one of the most idiosyncratic, I would say, statements or announcement or polite nature of saying something in Boyaca. Maybe you could just tell us what "Su Merced" means.
Okay, I think this is a really interesting topic nowadays because it's a pronoun. People is like he, her. Okay, so this is like a more nice way to speak to other person. It's not a you. It's not a yours. Not a tú o usted. It's like in between. It's comfortable words, a comfortable pronoun, and you use when you really want to be close to someone, but not too close, with a respectful way. It's also a colonial stuff because it came from the way people in the past, especially people, the indigenous one, talk to the Spaniards. They speak not to the people itself, but to the mercy, vuestra merced. But these days, we like decolonial expression. We appropriate that and we use it in a more like, we are proud to be like Boyacenses, and we are that proud that we have our own pronoun and we use it that way with other people. And I think it's a really nice way, a warm way to speak to another person.
So and everybody uses it. You're out there driving through Boyaca, and you stop at let's say in Sutamarchan or in somewhere along, and you buy some chorizos or you buy an arepa, and the vendor will say, su merced, gracias, su merced. And it's called su merced, but it's as you say, it's become its own word. I love this evolution of language and where this goes and what will be the overriding topic of this conversation. It's a sense of identity. And that's what it is. And you are proud. I mean, we've talked offline, but you are a proud Boyacense. I mean, all of your studies and all of your investigations are pointing to the fact is what does it mean to be a Boyacense? And what does it mean to be a Tunjana in Colombia of today? And that's really what I'm getting, the feeling. I mean, so maybe you could tell us a little bit. What is Boyaca what does it mean to be Boyacense? What does it mean to be a Tunjana, especially in Cali?
Okay, so we can start with where is Boyaca. Boyaca is at the center of Colombia and the right center is like in the heart of Colombia. It's really close to Bogota, but even if we are close in a geographical way, we are not really close in a cultural as people think, but also in an economical and a political way. Boyaca, even if we are really close to Bogota, we are one of the most poor departments in Colombia.
Really?
So, yes, so that is important. We have better indicators right now, but in the past, and when I say the past is 5 years ago, 10 years ago, we were like in the same levels that departments that are far from Bogota, far from the political center. So normally you think, okay, is the like the end, normal ending from when you are really far, but it's not normal when you can see that Boyaca is closer, that we have this great amount of resources, natural ones, we're located, but we have not the infrastructure we need, we have not the politicians we need, and we have not the opportunity that we really need as a department. So that is the part that I think people need to know, that we are not we have not these conditions that we need, but we are working, of course, and I am part of the idea that we need to develop more our conditions and the conditions of our people. So we are located in that also are our indicators. But also Boyaca is a peaceful place, that is a positive way to choose. We have these natural conditions that are well known from the people. It's key people to know about Boyaca. And we have these natural resources. We produce more of the old pantry in Colombia, the fruits and vegetables and all. We are really produce that, even though we have not the reaches the amount of money we need because of that, but we are really like really an agriculture hub in Colombia. But at the same time, we are like really far, not just for Bogota, but far for the entire like country. Even if we were really important during the history, because la batalla de Boyacá was really important when we finished the presence of the Spaniards in part here in Colombia. Then the history just lost our history. The Colombian history doesn't look back to us and what is happened, not the politicians. And so we became like really lost in the idea of what is Colombia and which communities are into Colombia, that we were lost in that process. So when I arrived first to Bogota to study, I feel that was the first moment I feel like I wasn't people doesn't know what Boyaca was, or what Tunja was, or what means being from Boyaca or from Tunja. So I started like to build this idea of what I needed to feel as a Boyacense person, as a Boyacense woman, and live a better like life in this new city and this new university. So I started was my starting point, and then I use it also as a topic in my homeworks as a political science student. So everything about public management or public policies, and you can say the professor say, okay, please, you can do a case study. Oh, for me, it was like a really nice way to talk more about Boyaca, and the people know what Boyaca was. Because I said before, we were like lost. Boyaca, Tunja. Maybe people know Villa de Leyva, Paipa, and that's it. That are two cities that are well known in Bogota. People from Bogota use it as a place to go in the weekend and then go back. But they live in like certain places, but they are not in contact with Boyacenses. No, so it's not a Boyacense experience at all. So I was like, my idea was to talk more and be more that the people know better about Boyaca and Tunja especially. And then life changed, and so I arrived here to Cali as a professor. I'm also an international professional in international relations, so I teach about this topic. My topic in international relations is Asia, East Asia, Pacific Asia. So when I arrived here, I was like, oh, I'm going to teach about Pacific Asia from the Colombia Pacific. So I create the connection because I needed a reason to came here. And also to be more comfortable because being an alien, a foreigner, a person from far is not easy. So I need to connect to create a history, a link. And also I use it a lot in social networks. I use the idea of that I am from Santiago de Cali, as from Santiago de Tunja, because Tunja was also dedicated to the Santiago Apostol. So, I am from Santiago de Tunja and I live in Santiago de Cali. And that also creates to me a connection that is really important to feel like all the time to show that I'm a proud Boyacense, a proud Tunja.
It's interesting, Tunja obviously being the departmental capital, and now you've gone in Bogota, just go straight past it to go to Villa de Leyva. I've been to Tunja. I've spent time in Tunja. It's a side note, this, but I know that Tunja has a Russian mayor. Alcalde is Russian,
yes,
right?
Russian.
I know there's some sort of problems now, legal problems with him.
Yes.
How does a Russian? So I just need to ask this because this is an identity thing. How does a Russian become mayor of Tunja?
I think it's a really nice, warm, and like powerful story. But right now, it's not that. But at the beginning and before the process, the political process, the electoral process, it was really an interesting story. So he was a economist who studied in Germany. He's from Russia, but he studied in Germany. And as part of the history, the story, but I'm not sure all the information. But what we know as a Tunjanos is that he came to do an exchange, an academic exchange, something like that, and he became in love from Tunja. That's strange because we have this weather is really hard. We are located 2,900 meters over the level of the sea.
Yeah.
And it's really cold. We have this. It's a really. It's difficult to live there, not just for us, but for the people who came around. And we have a really small immigration. In Colombia, we have not this big immigration history, but in Boyaca is less than that. We have like a really minimal immigration. It's interesting the people that arrive because they really love it, but it's smaller. So he arrives and he worked to the public university, La UPTC, and this is part of what he has problems because 1 year from the moment he was elected, he signed a contract with a public entity, so that is a problem in our electoral law. But okay, that is the problem right now. One of the problems he had. But at the moment, it was really interesting because he chose himself as an outsider, and we like it, outsiders. A person who was not part of the political tradition. So he really was an inspirational person. We have not really good mayors in the past. Tunja is a really underdeveloped city. Unfortunately, we have really high unemployment. We have really big troubles. It's not something that you are able to see face to face because we are we have this level of poor. We are poor, but it's not in a awful way, if I can say that. But in the indicators, in the development of the city, in the opportunities, normally we pass from our capital city and we go to Bogota because we have no opportunities in Boyaca, unfortunately. So that was the moment, was the situation, and the people really feel inspired for this person. he's an outsider, he's not with the other politicians, he's new. He uses a lot, because it's like a totem, the word Summerse. Foreigners love Summerse because it's not you, it's not like personal. So that is really something that normally foreigners like it. So he used a lot Summerse a todo el mundo in the States when he was campaigning, and the people really feel the opportunity to a change. I made a thread in Twitter talking about, oh my goodness, this is our moment, we are going to change history, we are going to become more better, and at the end nothing happens, because was not that kind of history. It was more like a prepaid candidate made for yes, the politicians traditional were at the back of in the shadows. Yes, it's really something sad. He offers, for example, at the beginning of her government, he said to the people, please send your CVs, curriculum vitae, and we are going to find the better between you. Can you imagine all the people that send the CVs? And at the end, they put the same people in the charts. The same old people. We're like, oh my goodness. Even though the lawyer who put one of the demandas,
like an action, like a lawsuit.
Yes, one of the lawsuits against him. At the end, he put that lawyer in the major in the administration.
He got a good job.
Yes, he got a job, but the law is more intelligent than them, because he was not able to regard the lawsuit. So the lawsuit is continued, but that is one of the ways to show that he is not what he promised and what we thought he is going to be.
This is a continual, well, just in the context of Colombia, but obviously everywhere. But in the context of Colombia, this is a continual problem. Not Russians, but these politicians who come up and present themselves as outsiders, but are obviously backed by the original and the establishment money. And of course, it's a gimmick. Him, su merced, and you know, as a campaign, it's so visual and so emotive, and I can imagine people from Boyaca, but look at this guy. He's from the outside and he loves us.
Yeah, really far.
And this goes back into what you're talking about. It's the identity, but for me, there's a bit of sadness there. There is a sadness there, and it's sort of melancholy to say, oh, but an outsider will do better.
Yes.
That for me is quite scary. And, you know, obviously as a foreigner here, I've been here a long time, but as a foreigner here, I am afforded a different treatment. And it's like, oh no, but you English, you know how it is. You can do this, you can do that. And I find that sad too, because I'm learning continually in Colombia. I'm learning about the regions, about the people, about the cultures and identities and what have you. I say this, it's like, as you've mentioned it, it's sort of the decolonialization. It's like, no, look inwards, look at yourselves, look at yourselves. Don't look to a Brit from London. It's, you know, London is a whole different place. You know, England is a whole different place. What could I possibly have in an example like this that would understand, let's say, the 2015 or paro agrario, you know, what could I possibly understand? I should be an observer. The outsider should observe. This is something about Boyacenses and from the Altiplano and the countryside of Cundinamarca, which of course my Bogota is, are making a statement about realities. And I had no idea. You know, I've been here 19 years. I had no idea that Boyaca was one of the poorest departments.
Mm.
I know it's an agricultural department. I know there are different cultures, and I know you've got the altiplano, and you've got like desert, and you've got mountains, and you've got emeralds and coffee and everything else. But I had no idea it was so poor.
Yes. Yes, this is part of what is in the silence, I think, that we
Mhm.
put aside. Not just the rest of the Colombia. I think we also put aside because as a people in the center of Colombia, I think you understand that we are like very silent people,
Mhm.
really into us. Normally people say that is like we are we have something to we want not to show, no, but is that we normally that we want to please the other, so we
Yes.
never chose the bad things. We always have those things, and we want to believe that things are going to be better because of God, because we really believe in God. It's part of our culture, and because of things are going to be better. And that is something we need to learn, to relearn, and to understand, because nothing is going to change if we don't do it to change. But it's not easy because, as I said before, we have not the opportunity. So we are normally expelled from Boyaca. And normally the people came and give something to ameliorate the situation, but it's not easy to like change everything, because we need a really change, as you say, also because of the el paro agrario. During those times, also people for the first time was aware that Boyaca exists. Many people tell me what. Oh, and we also were aware that no one is interested in what happened to us.
Yeah.
We they close, no, they put the army in the streets in Tunja. I don't know, but Tunja is really peaceful place. Like we have that murder, our border rates like -2, -3. We have the murders in Tunja. No, everyone dies for because it's that. And so it's so peaceful, but you during those days you saw the army and these big like trunks and everything. It was really like incredible how this happens just because farmers, peasants ask to the government to do what they need to do. And the president said that famous phrase, no, there is not, no hay paro agrario. No,
Yeah.
and so I was like, yes, yes, there is. But because we are present, we are tranquil, like we are Boyacenses, so people was not into us, but I think that changed a little, but it changed. And we also became more aware. And as a professor, I think it was part of my duty to speak louder and more what was Boyaca.
It's that I remember, obviously, for those who are unaware, the paro agrario was an agrarian or an agricultural strike. And obviously, in Bogota, the vegetables and fruit started increasing in price because Boyaca and that area is, I would say, one of the bread baskets for Bogota, but we don't realize it. You know, all of uh, so much of all of the produce comes from Boyaca. And I remember because I was living in Calle 64 and the Septima.
Mm-hmm.
And the marches would come down there, and I would see the ESMAD, which were the other
Mm-hmm.
riot police. I mean, it was right outside the house. They were like hammering them and beating up. And these are farmers who were peaceful. Let's
Mm-hmm.
stay that straight away. You said peasants as well, smallholders, subsistence farmers, who were asking for what every government has promised.
Mm-hmm.
Let's be entirely honest. They were asking for just basic human rights,
Mm-hmm.
basic development, and access to markets
That's
to get their produce out. And everyone, and then President Santos, yeah, came out with that phrase "El tal paro agrario no existe," and we're like, how dare you?
mm-hmm.
Dare you say that when there are hundreds of thousands of people blocking highways and the food's not arriving to the capital? It was just one of those moments. And of course, that was, I think it was 2015. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
because it was before the peace accords,
Mm-hmm.
2006. And it was around that time, and you're just like, how is these politicians who are obviously not present. They are absent politicians because they don't go to the regions. They are centralized, and especially someone like President Santos, who lives in his ivory tower and is, as we say in English, and is of the political elite. Has he ever even been to Boyaca? I mean, aside from Villa Eleva or maybe the monument for the Battle of Boyaca, it's just like, how dare you say these things? And this is repeated over and over in Colombia. But at Boyaca, it's right next to the capital, and you would expect the wealth of the capital to spread into Boyaca, but it doesn't. And one thing I wanted to ask you about that, you were talking about the Boyacense being kind of like having something in the heart or hiding something. I would say that the Boyacense is quite a reserved person, what we'd say in English. Why do you think that?
I think it's first because of the weather. We have these natural conditions. We are like the 70% of our territory is located in the mountains. So we have, and the idea that about Boyaca is about being a cold land. And we are like, because of the cold, we need to become more like reserved, more like silence and more careful. I think also because of the presence of the Spaniards. So we became more like careful about what we say because of the colonizers, the Spanish people who came during the colonized times, and we became more like cautious. We take attention on what we say than what the others say because we don't want problems. We became like that. This is an idea. I think we are also proud of what we are, but also this sentiment is really for us. Yes, I'm really into being Boyacense, but it's not nothing that you say out loud like other people, no? Paisas, costeños, they are so proud in a really vocal way. I think we are not. We need to become more vocal. That is what we chose during this strike, because people was convinced that nothing was happened. Nothing. Oh, it's a small problem. It's not even a problem. And we really feel it. I was in Bogota. All the time I was talking to my parents and they say, no, there is no food. Even from them, there is no food. It is too close. It was really like a hard time. But we, even though we were like tranquil, because we are Boyacense. But at the moment, the president said, there is not that straight. We were like really, we changed our sense of mind. I don't know, my sentiments, the sentiments of the people I know, and we go out to make a protest in Bogotá. And we doing this protest, from the 7th Street, La Séptima, and from the planetarium, like all the protests to the center. But we were like a few Boyacenses, even 100, but really small gathering. But we were like, some crowds. But they sent us mad, as you say. And that was the worst for us. But we are not even a threat. What we are treating like that. That was really a moment of like a wake up from many of us. And I think for other people, I feel really like we need to be more vocal and speak better and more. It's not easy because of the costume. We are like accustomed to be this way, but you need to be more, because if you don't speak for yourself, no one is going to speak for you. It's real. It was real at the moment. We were not even our politicians, our senators, our congressmen and women. It was nothing happened, no? And that was really important to many people. And I think that changed a little the way we think about ourselves, and especially the way we want the other people think about the Boyacense peasants and farmers in Colombia.
It's fascinating. It's this, and it's an issue that you are very obviously close to. It's the Colombia that is silenced, the Colombia that is not heard or seen. As you said, a Paisa, you know a Paisa. They've got their accent. There are not so many in Bogota. They don't want to be here, but when they live in Bogota, they become more Paisa.
And in the world, you are capable to find a Paisa in every place in the world.
Oh yeah, there's always a Rincon Paisa. There's always the Tienda Paisa somewhere, and a Costeño. Well, obviously because of accents and everything else, but also the they tend to be more outspoken, and there's I would say an alegría, that they carry with them, but a Boyacense, not at all. Would you relate that as well to like you said, to the colonization and the kind of domination of the original people of the area? Would you say that it has something to do, not just the territory, but would you say that the colonization by the Spanish has something to do with the sort of behavior and being Boyacense?
Yes, I think this is one of the more important elements that make us what we are. We are this introvert person, but because also, as I said before, because of this domination, when the Spaniards arrived, they located themselves in the same places the Chipcha kingdom was located. They just, like the Romanos, take off the same series and just put their Spaniard names. That is. In Boyaca, we have like these really important communities located in what we call the province of Tundama. And we had in what is today Sogamoso, the Sun Temple. What an important religious place. And many communities, aboriginal communities, were located there. But the Spaniards were against them with a lot of violence. So they had the need to go far and then more far and then more far to places where were capable to hide them and to silence themselves, just to avoid the Spaniards and the violence of the conquest. For us, was really violent. Even though if we feel and act like comfortable about our Spaniard heritage, that was really violent. People doesn't speak about that. So the people that was left alive is what we today we know as the Uwa indigenous. That the Uwa indigenous that are located in the north of Boyaca. They are located like up to 3,000 meters of the level of the sea. They had the need to escape. That is why they located there. In many times they were like really escondidos, hidden, really hidden during many times in the history. No one knows about them after many people arrived, social anthropology arrived and studied them, but they were during a lot of time hidden because of that persecution. That was really, and we have places in this like all the places they were left to arrive to there. There is places where many people, because of they were really afraid about the Spaniard, they just suicide themselves. For them, the suicide is really an important matter. Today, they are located, unfortunately, in a zone that is really important for gasoductos. Yes. So they are still like battling with another concourse, and that is really hard to know what to say. And people in Boyaca, even in the Boyaca, normally is not aware of that. We have indigenous that are alive, that are not just a picture or a costume. No, they are alive, and these people deserve have a voice in political decisions like those one. In education, is the same. So it was really, I think, it is because we are like that silence. We silence ourselves because we are like afraid that something happened. Because one day in the past that happened. No, they came, they dominated us, they conquered us, and then It was a lot of violence, and we want to avoid. We are really good to avoid like conflict, and we are really tranquil until we are affected. But normally, I think that is also the result of the domination and the violence. Also, as I said before, Summers is part of that, because we doesn't speak to the other person, to her or to him, but to the mercy. Please, no, where's a mercy? Please be mercy, no, please, no. And with this, like, we are like little avocados, like really in a merciful way. But we need to change that. And as I say, I think we are more aware of we need to rewrite our history in talk in our own terms.
Fortunately, we are in a period where we're reflecting more on the history and, of course, the colonial history. You mentioned that the pipeline. The pipeline, is this the pipeline that goes to like Arauca and all of these places? So a very serious economic
because of the British and the Dutch.
Oh yeah. British Petroleum, of course. Yes. It was. I mean, that was the next phase of colonial domination. It's through the economic side of things. Does that go near to Pisba and that area?
In what, sorry?
Is it near to Pisba, the town, or is it further away? Pisba is Boyaca, right?
Oh, yes. Oh, no. Yes, it's far. It's not Pisba. It's in the Cocuy. It's in the... Okay. It's closer to yes, it's really high. And it's longer, no? The what people live there. And so it's a really like difficult place to ride.
Yeah. I was thinking of who gives Boyaca, aside from yourself, of course, who gives Boyaca some identity. Of course, right now it's the cyclists.
Yes.
And Nairo Quintana and the others are proud Boyacenses, and they are becoming, or have become the poster boys for, positive nature of Boyaca. And this is a good thing. But there was a book written some years ago by a British journalist who is a cycling expert, and he does all of the commentary on cycling. His name's Matthew Rendell. And I've interviewed him here a long time ago, but he does a study which shows that as soon or just after, I think it was President Obama in the United States in his first term, signs off a free trade agreement between the US and Colombia. Mm-hmm. And this then affects, obviously, Boyaca's agricultural production, because there's a great deal of importation that then undercuts Boyaca. And this, in turn, leads to the need for the children to cycle further to school and not work in the fields because it's not as beneficial anymore with their parents. And it leads to this boom in cyclists. And I was just like, this is so amazing to put each piece of this puzzle together. And it's the global impact felt locally by this. And when you put it into context, he's like, that does make sense. That does make sense that an international agreement of this nature, designed to benefit, has really damaged somewhere like Boyaca. And so you're sort of, but maybe you say, I mean, how do you feel when Colombians in general are proud of their cyclists, but you as a Boyacense, you must feel even greater pride that this is one of our own. When you see him up there in the Tour de France, winning the mountain race and so on, how does Boyaca react to seeing their sons on an international stage?
I think that there are the few moments and we forget that we are reserved and we became really like loud and really Colombian, like people think about Colombian outside. But yes, it's really interesting. When you saw the context, it's not that happy because, as you say, it's really hard to know that many histories are really histories of fighting against the odds, no? So it's really interesting to know. It's also like many elements that I'm able to like talk about when we talk about this phenomenon, this cyclist phenomenon, and also is the nature, because we are like really up over the level of the sea. So with this child using the bike just to go to school as an idol, or to go to from the school to the place they work, because as you say, they work from like they were very little. So we are like they are myself. They are in a better condition, because when they arrive to these places that over at the level of the sea, they are really fast. So nature is part of that. Also, you say it's part of the political and economical context. We are poor. This is a department that even if we have these all natural resources, agriculture is in the heart of our economy. We don't receive as much as we as the demand of the opportunity of the prices are in the economy. So our children are poor, so they have the need to use bike like a way to arrive to the schools. That is the story of Nairo and others. Like the parents, like how we are going to arrive to this school that are really far from 1 hour to 1 hour. The people want their children go to school, but there are only schools in the capital of the provinces. This in a municipality for all the municipalities in the province. So it's really far. So people need to go, or maybe there is a school, a rural one, but it's not that good, or has only until just primary, until quinto grado, until 5th grade. So for going to a secondary school, they need to go far. So the bike was the instrument they need just to go to school, what the history was told. But then they became really good, and the people was aware of that. I think sports are one of the main important topics that make us Boyacense like a little relevance or more relevance in Colombia. I don't know if you know, but the first person to was in the Olympics was a Boyacense, Guillermo Perry, but he was from himself, like he take a Colombian flag and he was all our representation in there. But he was good for tracking, correr, yes. So he became really, he's like this person in history. He was not really important of the Olympics he participated, but for us, sport is a way that we became more well known, and it's very important for us. We have a really in Paipa hub of preparation for different sports, and people came from this long distance from marathons, and they prepared there. And we have this, but normally it's not well known. But yes, we are really proud of what these young men are capable to do. We wanted that more will be capable to arrive to those states, and were well known. It's not easy. It's not football that is the biggest sport that we practice in our country, and we have more money for football than for another sport. But we are so proud of what in cycling we made, but and also in other sports. And I think, as I said before, it's just is that a place where we are capable to speak out about that we are proud of ourselves, and we wanted. I think that that became more part of the what people talk, but also in the context, as you said before, not just this great history or great story about this man and John man, but we need that we talk what happens and what made him this hero, because hero have a context. It's not an easy context, and so we need to be more like speak more about what is happened behind all these great histories of our sportmen in Boyaca.
It's fantastic. This is such a wide-ranging conversation about identity, and obviously, and you are doing an incredible job. Obviously, I imagine your students there in Cali when you're talking about international relations, and as a political scientist, Boyaca comes in always as the example, which is great because Cali is so far replaced from Boyaca. Your reality is so different. People, but I think it's amazing, and of course, you know the stories of the territorial development firsthand. Your mother was a teacher, school teacher in Boyaca, became a rector in Boyaca, in rural Boyaca. You know it, you've lived it, you've seen it. So as we close down this conversation, because I know you've got lots of things to do, but as we close down this conversation, what can the Boyacenses do to ensure, let's say but it's very difficult to elect the right people. What do you see for the future of Boyaca? It's a big question.
Yes, difficult one. It's not easy to talk about what what is our future to be, but I think that we have many more opportunities because of what we built in the past, and because we are more aware of what is our history, what is our history. So for me, it's relevant. This is why I speak a lot about Boyaca, what's happening in Boyaca, and also it's part, as you say, of my research. I'm especially interested in what happened in the rural areas from the educational point of view. And this is why I study about these street level bureaucrats that are the principals in public schools. My mom is one of those principals. And I was able, during his time as a professor, as a teacher first at school, also for rural students, and then as a principal, as a rector in a public school, I was able to see how really is Boyaca, what happened in Boyaca, and what we need to change. And I was able also to see that politicians are not interested in those topics and to really change the life of people. But people as my mom, these state level bureaucrats are the ones that are changing lives. And I was able to see that, and is what I'm interested to show in my research and my PhD. But as a part also of what I'm normally talking in my classes and normally talking in master classes that I do, or when I do different events in other universities, that we need to be more aware of where is really changing the world, in what levels of the public management, and to show more and be more attention, to pay more attention to those people, to these bureaucrats that are really important and really deserve to be listened at the moment of make the policies and the politics. Is really important for me to show that. So I think that the future of Boyaca is related to the idea to be more conscious about what we are, to become more proud of what we are, and to be more careful of our past, not just to be careful that we were afraid of it. No, we need to pay attention to that past to build a better future. That I think it sounds like people always say that. No, be careful to the history, do not repeat. But for me, I think it's really important because we are in a loop of wrong political decisions, and we need to be more aware, and really work to change. What I do through my job, to my work as a professor, as a teacher, even as a daughter of a professor, teacher, my mother was, is to talk about this reality and really try to change it, not just talking and teaching about it, but also work, in the field. For me, it's really sad not being in Boyaca right now, but as I say, they spell us because there are all opportunities for everyone. But I'm able and capable to work in small tasks on small events and show to the people that the work I do really has consequences in the reality and are good consequences, and people there in Tunja and Boyaca is more aware of that. During a few years ago, the students of the public university, the UPTC, la Universidad Pedagógica y Tecnológica de Colombia, that is one of the public universities in Colombia, a really good one, invite me to make a lecture. And my lecture was always about Boyaca from the point of view of territorial development. And I use the metaphor of the canastro, the baked basket, the canasto, and because backstreet, la cestería, is a really important element of our Boyacense culture. So I use as a metaphor to talk about ourselves and be more aware of what we are. And that became a really interesting lecture that I repeated in different places. And I'm always with my canasto, use it because I really wanted a Boyacense canasto, and I really want the people that is really all the time thinking, not just in what I'm speaking about, but they were capable to imagine what I'm speaking about, and then became more aware about Boyaca. And people at the end like say me, oh, I didn't know that Boyaca even exists. That is important because we exist. We are part of Colombia. Not a loud part, but an important part of Colombia.
The basket weaving of Colombia. Well, I mean, you are an ambassador for Boyaca in Cali at the moment, but I think an ambassador well beyond Cali, because the way you speak about it, obviously there is as I would expect, a total appropriation of what it means to be Boyacense and what it means to have that identity as a Tunjana. And you've talked about obviously all of the different regions.
Sorry, I don't know if something happened. Sorry, are you able to hear me? I don't hear you. Don't know if something happens.
Hello, hello.
Hello.
You hear me?
Yes. I hear you
I
right
don't know
now.
what happened. I think it's my microphone, actually, not yours. But
Okay.
as I said, listen, thank you so much for your time and for your expertise. It's been an absolute pleasure
Thank
to
you.
go in depth into what it means to be Boyacense. I have learned a lot, so
Okay.
that's cool. So we've been speaking to
Yeah.
Lorena Estupiñán-Pedraza, who is a professor of international relations and political science in Cali. But more than that, she is a Boyacense and telling the world about what it means to be Boyacense. So thank you, Lorena, for your time on the Colombia Calling podcast.
Thank you, Richard. And I really want that everyone knows what is Boyaca and came to Boyaca. Boyaca is a really peaceful and beautiful land, and everyone deserves to know what is magical from Boyaca.
Yes, and every night here in Bogota, I put on my ruana from Nobsa. You see, I know.
Yeah.
I have it and I love it. My thick woolen ruana. That's a poncho for those of you who don't know. But Boyaca is a wonderful department. I have spent a good amount of time there. When my older son was very little, we did a Semana Santa just driving around all the towns. Got up to Mongi and Oseta, and I mean, it was just phenomenal. So, highly recommended to everyone. Anyway, I've been Richard Mccoll, talking to Lorena Estupiñán-Pedraza. This has been the Colombia Calling podcast. Thank you, everyone, for listening. If you care to support us, go to www.patreon.com/Colombia Calling. Thank you for listening, and goodbye.